And here we are. Welcome, folks. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Nicole. Glad you're joining me today. Let's hope, let's hope, since I fussed almost all day, oh golly here, almost all day to get this. Carol, hello, hello, hello. How are you? Julia, hi. Um, I fussed almost all day to get this hopefully straightened out, that I don't have to buy a new tablet. Let's see, what all did I do? I went through and cleaned up my Mac. Hi, Rose. Oh, yeah, I don't usually come on this time of day, so I thought the hubby's not home yet. He's still away. So, a good opportunity to stream in the evening. Nancy, hello. Okay, Senga? I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, Gail. Welcome, everyone. So anyway, I went through and I cleaned up my Mac. I got rid of a lot of um, useless files that were on here and found some videos on YouTube and did some other things. And I think, keep your fingers crossed, I think we got it fixed. Let's hope we got it fixed. So I tested it this afternoon and ran it for almost an hour and didn't lose battery. And so far, so good. We're on here already 20 minutes and I'm doing good. Oh, thank you, Senga. I'll try and remember so I say that right. Um, so far we're doing good. So hopefully, okay, that's the second time I dropped my scissors since I sat down here. Hopefully, I have it fixed, or at least fixed that I don't need to buy. There we go. That I don't need to buy a new laptop because the one I wanted to get, if I had to get a new one, was pretty pricey. Pretty pricey. Pardon me, I'll be back after I pick up my scissors. There we go. Now let's see how many more times I can throw them on the floor. So, I thought I'd come back and tell you what I'm thinking of this way I'm stitching. And what I did, if any of you watched my video from, what, a day or two ago, 2 days ago, Friday. Oh, Christy, so am I. I think we got her. I think we got it. Huh. Hi, Leanne. Golly geez, I'm getting a lot of folks I don't normally see. Oh, Teresa, me too. I hope I don't have any more issues. So we're going to hope for the best here and, oh, for God's sake, and see what happens. My Lowry stand is not wanting to quite agree with me. There we go. If you were here on Friday, you saw me start testing out and trying a new method for stitching on the diagonal. Now, what I'm doing is going down the diagonal one stitch, like out one stitch at a time, and then going down the whole diagonal with just that one stitch away from what's already been stitched. Okay, so on this one, let me see if I can get you just a wee bit closer. There we go. There we go. Okay, So on this one, let me make sure where I am. Okay, it helps if I put my spectacles on. Oh, golly. It's going to be one of those days. All right, I just have this one stitch to do right here. Okay, and the principles are the same as when I showed the other diagonal stitching, where you park it the next place it's going to be used. So I'm going to use it when I come back up. So what I've decided to call this, you can laugh at me because I'm giving it a name. What I decided to call this is a diagonal snake method. Okay, so you know how Brenda, Handwork Maniac, how her daughter, Bossy Daughter, who stitched the HAED, how she went line by line and went back and forth and snaked down her column. Okay, that's basically what I'm doing here, except, well, I had that needle threaded, except I'm snaking down the diagonal. Okay, if that makes sense. So I need, and I am going stitch by stitch. Now, what I also did to experiment a little bit is, let me see if I can go over this way. Okay, I did from the top down to this point this morning, or when I wasn't messing with this computer, to see what would happen if I just do down so many squares instead of going, because this is going to get to the point, being that it's 400 and some stitches in height, it's going to get a little long until you would get the whole length of that um, that line of stitches. So I wanted to see what it would be like if I would stop at a certain point and hopefully not get a line. Teresa, hello. I'm glad you're here. It's so good to see you here. Can I explain why I'm snaking? Yes, so that I'm kind of took the idea from Gemma Stitches, where she isn't closing in any unfinished stitches. So I was kind of experimenting, and this is all an experiment, folks. I may or may not stick with it. That is yet to be determined. Um, so I want to go down here. The other reason that I'm kind of going one stitch at a time is if when I carry the thread on the back, I'm stitching over it. So when I get to the bottom here, what I will do, okay, and this one, we'll finish it. What I will do is go back up. So in essence, what this is doing is it's kind of like you're doing a basket weave stitch, only I'm doing a cross stitch. So it's the same principles basically as a basket weave stitch in needlepoint, except I'm doing X's. So I'll go, now this color will go, okay, now I got caught on that ring one too many times. Gotta come off. Okay. So I hope it, and like I said, this is just an experiment. Oh, for crying out loud. First I'm caught on my ring. Then I unthread my needle. Uh, am I not having a good day today? First I get computer issues. Oh, that had me so upset. So upset. So yeah, this is a whole different approach than what I've really seen anyone do, short of Gemma Stitches, and she actually works out more, like she'll stitch as much as she can without boxing any unstitched squares in. So as long as the stitch that precedes where she's going, she'll stitch, and she'll end up with um, a raggedy line on the diagonal, just like if you were stitching cross country. Whereas I decided, well, let's experiment with what would happen if we just went out one stitch instead of going out 10 and doing a column of 10. We just do down the whole length, one stitch at a time. Yes, Leanne, that's exactly right. It in the beginning, and it did seem much slower, and I think that's because it takes a while to wrap your head around. Now, if you'll notice, I have my screen shared here. So if you notice, before, when the last time I was on, I had this where it was colored the color of the floss. Okay, so I'm stitching blue, so this was all different shades of blue. One trick that I found is put it to where it's the flat color, so all you see is gray, and that helps you follow that diagonal line easier. That helps you follow those. Now I'm going to go back up. So that helps follow that quite a bit easier, because when I had it that it was all the floss colors, it was hard to separate out what was already stitched versus what wasn't stitched, and know where to go and where you were at. So by putting it to I think it's called flat color, it's way much easier. So that has helped increase my speed. Now, I will say, it's not the fastest method in the world. It certainly isn't. However, it is a bit faster than it was the other day when I started. And actually, let me see if I can get it on the camera better for you. Up here, this, I stitched in about, I'm going to say 2.5 hours. And that was, let me see here, according to Pattern Keeper, that was maybe 250 stitches. So, I mean, that's about average for for any stitching. Normally I can do about 100 stitches an hour, normally, with any amount of luck. That's about what I can get done. Now, the thing that I am doing here also is I am carrying my thread up. Oh, if I point to my tablet, you can't see it. I'm mirroring my screen. You can't see me pointing it. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here. Um, okay, now I lost my train. Oh, I am carrying them up to where I need it the next time. Now here's where I get confused when I jabber. When I jabber and then have to follow my chart. I know. So we're going to put that there. Sometimes, depending on how soon I have to use that color again, sometimes I will let the thread, uh, the needle on the thread, and sometimes I will take it off. It tends to get a bit tangled. If I let the needles on. So I did that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to go up 5 with this color. So I hope this is making sense for you guys. Some of you that were here on Friday kind of got a taste of this already. So and I think some of you that were here, I'm trying to see if I see any names from Friday's group. Some of the ones that were here Friday thought they might want to try it. And I did show them the back. Now, granted, here's the other thing that could be a downside, or it could turn out okay. Is it going to make the back really thick and crowded and not pleasant? Okay, I don't go gung-ho nutty crazy over how my back is. I try to keep it semi-neat, but it's not a priority. And let me finish this stitch and I'll try and flip it over and show you how the back is so far. It's kind of interesting how the back is getting. Marie, yeah, it probably is easier to go across and back since I'm going by stitch and not color. The thing I liked about this, and the thing that may convince me to at least keep going a little longer, is the fact that I'm not seeing any diagonal lines. Yes, You're thinking of you're thinking of starting a Sistine Chapel, so you're looking at all ways of stitching. Good idea. Absolutely good idea. Because what works, and I often say this, what works for one may not work for someone else. You know, it's you gotta there is no right way and there is no wrong way to stitch. You have to find your own comfort level and what works for you. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for somebody else. It's all in finding your your flow of how you stitch and what you want to stitch. Rose, your Christmas star will be heavy confetti. Can't wait to see how it works then. Yeah, and you know what? When I get down to the trees on this, that's probably going to be heavy confetti also. And yes, I'm interested in just how that's going to work. And that may be the make or break. So let me flip this around. Oh, geez Louise. And show you so far what the back looks like. Let's zoom in here a little bit more. Okay, now remember, this is only maybe 4, 5, at best 6 different colors. So here I started out, you can see I started out the traditional normal way that I stitched on the diagonal. And about here is where I switched it. And it does seem it's a bit thicker, but in all honesty, I don't think it's any thicker than when like Needle Ninja, that's her name. Needle Ninja, when she goes across her snake method across, I don't think this is any thicker on the back than that is. Um, or Carla, the Stitchy Witch. I think I can't remember now. Gosh, I watch her videos. I can't remember if she at one point was going line by line, but I think now she's going blocks. Anyway, I don't think this is any thicker than any of those methods. And by doing it color for color and being able to stitch over the thread carries right away, you're not getting any long loose loose ends exposed. Now you can knit. Now you can knit and don't stitch. I did restart my socks. So that's what the back, actually, when you really look at it close, let's see, it kind of sort of looks like a stockinette stitch in knitting. It kind of sort of has that look. I don't know that you can see it that well, but when you look at it in person, it sort of half has that knitting look. But like I said, it's something different. It's something I haven't done before. So it's like you guys know me. I'm all for experimenting with something new. I mean, golly. Oops. I mean, let me get me out of the way here a little bit. There we go. Yeah, it's like, why not? What I mean, really, what do you have to lose? If you try something new, what do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. Well, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It maybe gets a little bulkier, so you switch back to something else. I mean, really. So I thought, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. Let's try it. And I look outside and I go, good Lord, it's only 5. Okay, it's 10 after 5 here. And I'm in Pennsylvania, which is Eastern time. And it is already dark. Dark. I hate that. I absolutely don't like that. So, Carol, what time is it in Australia? You're probably working on just being in the afternoon, aren't you? Or is it even lunchtime yet? And I know in the UK it's probably 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 9 or 10 o'clock maybe? 23:10 where you are. Ooh. 8 a.m. Rebecca. Oh my goodness. 21, 9 o'clock is 21. So 10, 11 o'clock. So Rose, you're in Germany. Okay. So that's the same time zone as the UK, I think, or close. Carol, it's 10 after. Oh, Teresa, 22:10. Are you stitching yet, Teresa? Ah, and Carla's here. Oh my goodness. The whole crowd. Okay, you don't have daylight savings. 22 there. Okay, Carla, you're in the UK, aren't you? Or are you in, let me think, Scotland? This all just amazes me how people are all over the world that can join in and stitch together. It just blows my mind. No, puppy's driving me bananas. Oh my God, that coda is so darn cute. Oh my Lord. I bet he's driving you bananas. Puppies. Puppies. Puppies will be puppies. What can we say? Oh, I didn't want to do that. Scotland. Okay. That's what I thought, Carla. That's what I thought. Yeah, see, this gets a little more challenging when I'm trying to read comments and talk and stitch all at the same time. Elizabeth, you're Eastern time also. Oh, good. Got supper in the oven, thought you'd pop in and say hi. Well, I'm so glad you did. Gonna have to check out the replay for new method of stitching. Absolutely. And you can also check the live from Friday, which I think was number 111. 111. Yeah. That probably will give you a little bit more explanation. Although I think I tried to give a fair amount here tonight. Teresa, you just got the one, right? You didn't get two? You got one that replaced fudge. You didn't get a second one, did you? I was telling I was telling Teresa one day about my story about my cats. We had uh, we had two rag dolls, cats, and lost both of them. I mean, they were getting pretty old. Oh yeah, only one. They were getting pretty old, and we lost them both within a few. Well, within about a year and a half, I guess it was. Anyway, we ended up catless, and my husband was, "We're not getting any more cats. We're not getting any more cats." And I kept going, "But oh, I miss having my kitties." No, we're not getting any more cats. Well, my daughter is a school teacher, and one of her students, well, it was a student that she had that was now a couple grades. My daughter was teaching middle school, and this gal was now in high school, and she came to visit in school, and she brought this basket of kittens in, and there was this most adorable, he's not over here right now, most adorable black kitten with just a little white chest and a half of a mustache and white paws. Oh my God, he's so darn cute. And I said, "Oh, I want that cat. I really, really want that cat." So I finally talked my husband into, okay, we'd get another cat. So we went down. My daughter lives outside of Lancaster. So we went down to her, and Glenn stayed um, back at the house with Adam and the kids. And, well, with Adam and Emmy. And Jen and Abe and I went to the farm where these kittens were to pick up this little guy. Well, we got there, and they had like three different litters of cats in their garage. All the mamas and all these babies were in there. And they're saying to me, "Well, take as many as you want. Take as many as you want. You can take them all." I said, "No, no, no, no." And then it was, "Well, you should at least take two, because cats do better if there's two rather than have just one." So I said to Jen, "What do you think?" She says, "Yeah, Mom, you should take two." I said, "Oh, I don't know what your dad's going to say." I said, I couldn't get cell service in their garage. I said, "Go outside and call your dad and see what he says." Well, she couldn't get service outside either. So I said, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do." So I finally broke down and said, "Okay, we'll take two. This one's black with white." I said, "How about an orange one?" So I took one that was, well, Odie's, he's over here sleeping. He's all orange, like an orange tiger striped. So we put them both in the carrier that I had taken along, and Abe was with us, and I said to Abe, I said, "Now, Abe, you need to do Nana a favor." And he says, "What?" I said, "Well, when we get home, You go in the house and you tell Pawpaw that the kitties, not kitty, but the kitties are here. So we sent him in first. And he said to my husband, Pawpaw, the kitties are here. And Glenn just kind of looked. And I came in with this carrier and showed him these two cats. And he looked at me. He says, what the hell did you get two for? I said, well, you can't take just one. It's like potato chips. You got to have two. They'll be much better. Well, he wasn't real happy with me that night. But by the next day, he was so glad that we got the two because they really did entertain each other. It was, in fact, they were so funny to watch when they were little kittens. They were just a hoot. So, so we now have two, and he wouldn't want to give up either one of them. But he sure wasn't happy about it in the beginning. He was not loving his wife at that moment. Well, hi Jody, I'm glad you're here. I made a note now, have to Ace of two, I forget, but I love the aw. Yes, two is always better than one. They entertain each other. And they're both males, and believe it or not, they really don't fight. Oftentimes, I find them in the cat bed together. You want to send your puppy over to me? He's anything but a hoot right now. He's in timeout. Oh no. Oh, poor little Coda. He'll learn. You're so good at training dogs. He'll learn. He will learn. Jody, yes, I'm still doing the snake method when I'm not gabbing and losing my place. It gets a it gets a little challenging, but I think I got a run of a color here. Yes, I came down here. Now I'm working my way back up. So when I'm not gabbing, but I do so love to come on here and gab. Um, it does go, it is going a bit faster. And before you came on, Jody, I had said it works better if you set your pattern keeper to mark it off that it's the gray and not the color of the floss. You can keep your place a bit easier. It helps you to see that diagonal a bit easier. Now, what I'm seeing still is no column lines. Well, first of all, because there's not really a column because you're going one stitch at a time. But I'm not seeing lines. And here it is. Earlier today, I did this part up here and went straight across because I'm testing another thing. I'm testing to see if, since I'm going one stitch down the whole length and not getting diagonal lines, if I end abruptly here horizontally, will I get a line? So this is all just another means of finding different ways to stitch these designs to avoid those dreaded column lines, page lines, whatever lines that we get. Now, some people have absolutely no trouble with that at all, and that's phenomenal. I think that's fabulous. Yeah, Jody, I agree. I agree. When you're testing out something, you want to test, or at least I want to try everything that I can think of that might possibly cause a problem before I come out and say, oh, wow, guys, you got to really try this method because it doesn't give you lines, it, and give all the kudos and the good things, because you can't really say the good things unless you try. And the other side of that is everybody's stitch is different and everybody's tension is different. So maybe, yes, maybe I'm not getting the lines, but maybe somebody whose tension is different than mine may get the lines. I, you just don't know, and it's one of those things where, like I said, everybody has to kind of try for themselves what they want to do and how they want to stitch, because we are all different and we all have different tensions and different methods, and it's just like it's just like knitters. Are two knitters the same? Do they knit exactly the same? Not usually. Not usually. Although I can say that I could pick up something my mother was knitting and knit on that and have exactly the same tension as she did, and you could not tell the difference of where she knit and I knit. However, she taught me to knit. So, stands to reason I would knit the way she does. But, stitching, everybody's different. Needed a drink. Coffee. So, what are you guys working on? Anybody stitching tonight? Or am I stitching here all by myself? And you guys are going, she's nuts for trying that way? Because probably I am. I'm almost back up. Okay, this goes a long run here. That's what we like. A long run of the same color. I'm not a fan. Still on your cardinals. Oh, you're stitching with me. Good. I'm glad. And once again, I unthread my needle. Oh, I hate when that happens. Okay. Oh, Maria, you're working on your long dog? Passing Through by Artisy. Carol Stevens, that picture you just finished is fantastic. Oh my God. It was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Is the one you're stitching similar to that? Oh, okay, Carla. Well, sleep well. I'm glad you stopped here too. It's always nice to see you stop by. Oh, Rebecca, 12-hour night shift duty. Oh my goodness. May I ask what you do? 12-hour night shift? I'm guessing maybe you're a nurse. Oh, Sanjay, you're working on Bewitched. Oh, that's not 52%. Good for you. Good for you. A NICU nurse. Yeah, those night shifts are killers, aren't they? Oh, they used to do me in. When I'd have to do a night shift, it would take me a week to recover. Because if I had a supervisor call off, I had to cover their shift if I couldn't get anybody else to cover it. And oh my goodness, a lot of times when I ended up covering, I had already worked all day and then had to go back in for nights. So that was always back in with very little sleep. Those used to kill me. That was one of the downfalls of being management, because if I keep pushing this out of frame, if I couldn't find a replacement for that person that called off, then I had to work the shift. And yeah, like I said, oftentimes it did me in. My husband wasn't any too happy about that because I'd be the Grinch for a couple days. It's what lack of sleep does for me. Carol, oh, that's the giraffe. Oh, the giraffe ones. Oh, I remember now. I remember now. Well, I think I have to end this thread. Okay. It's getting a little short here. Oh, awake for 26 hours, Rebecca. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I feel for you. I really do. Kind of been there. Okay, now I'm gonna flip around here and try and end this off. Normally I like to end on the front, but stitching this way gives me a nice little area to end off in. And then I end up with a nice little mess here. Okay, this goes up here. Okay. It really is easier to take your needles off. It really is. I find, oh no, wait. Oh, okay, I didn't mark any of these. Ah, that's the other thing. You gotta remember to mark off as you go. I think that's 820. Okay, I got my colors here. I think that's 827, I want to say. Let's double check. Yes. Because if you don't mark off as you go, you can get yourself a bit confused. A bit confused. Okay. Well, so far so good, folks. The laptop's holding out. I'm not losing battery power. This is wonderful. I'm thinking I got this puppy under control. I think I watched every video under the sun the last couple days on the software I'm using and on MacBook Pros and power issues. And I did have a friend, Jennifer, who sent me an email. Oh, Teresa. Sleep well, my friend. Know I'm thinking about you. Take care. And take care of that puppy. I'm waiting for you to get another one. And White, your entire family just beat you in phase 10, so now you can join. Well, good. I'm glad you joined. Yeah, sleep well, Teresa. We'll catch up sometime. Okay, now start this new thread. Yeah, I guess UK people and Germany people are and Scotland people are all coming upon their bedtime since it's not too early over there. Like here, oh, here I'm only looking at 20 to 6, so we can stay on for a while. Like I said, um, hubby's not home till tomorrow, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 3. So that leaves me free to sit over here and stitch the night away. Oh, hi, Martina. Oh, you didn't get you didn't get notification? Huh. I thought if you had the bell um checked for notifications that you would get a notification when I went live. However, that being said, sometimes YouTube gets a bit goofy. Sometimes I don't get for people, I don't get notification on people either. And I think that may be a YouTube thing, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Oh, oh, you have the bell on. Well, then I don't, like I said, it could very well just be a YouTube thing. Okay, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Carol, you never get notifications for anyone. Oh, that's odd. If nobody got it, then yeah, that sounds like YouTube's having hiccups. Huh. Well, I did start my video like 15 15 minutes, 20 minutes before I actually went live. So my video was live. I just didn't come on until what, 15 minutes later? So, I mean, that's so I could give people some notice that I was live because it really was a spur of the moment decision. Actually, really, the decision was spur of the moment because I wanted to see, did all my fussing and finagling and all of that today work? That maybe I got my laptop straightened out. Because what it seemed was after I updated to the new operating system, that's when it went all kerfluffled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this is going to need a new thread. Huh, that's weird, Carol. What am I doing here? Getting out of the frame. Okay, guys, just yell at me when I do that. I'm still waiting to hear about my Patoki stand, and I would love to do a video about that when I do get it. I ordered it. Oh, let's see. I ordered it back in March, and I got the invoice in September, but I'm still waiting for the shipping notice. I know, and they do take a very, very long time to get. but I would love to have it before the end of the year, because then I think maybe I'd like to find a way to be able to sit in my recliner and do my videos, because like some of the rest of you, I have to reach around. Um, it kills my back. There. Helps others find the video, but not sure if that's the way for subs. I don't know that answer, Holly. I can't answer that one. I do know that when people have lots of likes and they meet certain algorithms in YouTube, that gets them on the recommended list, where their videos come up as recommended for people. But I don't know if that has anything to do with notifications. I honestly am not sure about that. Skip 3. Okay, it looks like I have that parked already. 1, 2. Okay, so I can end this. Alright, I'm going to end it over here. Sometimes I talk to myself, folks. Oh, Julia, you're still at work. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish you could be stitching too. Do you know, when I still worked, that's exactly how I felt. Oh my gosh, I want to be home stitching. I want to be home. And then I'll tell you what, once you retire and you are at home, I often say to my husband, I don't know where a day goes. I absolutely don't know where the day goes. You get up, you do what, stuff that you have to do, whatever. And then I look at the clock. Good night, Rebecca. Sleep well. Um, then the next time I look at the clock, it's like in the afternoon already. And it's like, where the heck did the morning go? And then the next time you turn around, it's time to get dinner together. I don't know where the day goes. And yet, when we worked, oh my goodness, you'd look at the clock and go, oh geez, it's only 9 o'clock. It like took forever just to get to lunchtime. But now it goes by so fast. It just amazes me. And then I go, how did it get to be Thanksgiving this week? Okay, that's that. What did I do here? Okay, do I have myself confused? Let me make sure what color this is. I might have myself messed up here a little bit. But guess what? It's sky. So it really doesn't matter. 3325. That's 827. Oh, oh, that's the right color. Oh, this should be over one. Okay, who's... Here. All right, I have two threads of the same color. That's what's the matter. I started one up here. Oh, sometimes. Now that is the other thing. Sometimes I will do that. Have two threads of the same color. So I think I'm going to end this one off. And when I end it, I just do a little bit of a tacking stitch. And we will put that here and save that for when we need it again. So, like I said, folks, this does take a little bit to wrap your head around it. But I don't know. Do you guys see any diagonal? I mean, this, what at first I thought, oh my goodness, there's a line, but that's a different color. So I'm not seeing diagonal lines. And so far, Sandra, good night. Have a good night. Sleep well. Thanks for stopping by. And so far, I'm not seeing any line up here. And I think I've done, well, I had done a couple rows before I came on live. So I'm not seeing anything there. So that might be the way, if I continue this method, I think that's the way I'm going to work on it, is just do like so many blocks down and then again so many blocks down, just so that I don't have to be moving the Q-snap so often. You know, it's like fill in the space of what you have. Fill in the area of what you have within your Q-snap. Yeah. Jody, you don't see any lines. Oh, my stitches look real pretty. You know what? That I gotta say too is it does make your stitches look really nice. Really nice. And oh, keeps stinging me. I guess the bottom line becomes where your priorities are. You know, do you want to stitch for speed, or do you want to stitch for no lines and all of that? You know, if you want to. And again, we talked about this on Friday. Talked about that on Friday too. It's like you have to decide what's important for you. Some people are process stitchers and they want to stitch that everything is just so, and some people want to stitch that let's get this done. So it really just depends on what you want. And that's true too, Carol. You stitch for the pleasure. And that's true too, you know, and you do whatever technique gives you the most pleasure. I'm stitching this way just because I wanted to try something different. Christine, you missed the beginning. What are you doing differently to not see lines? Okay, what I'm doing is I'm stitching on the diagonal, but instead of going 10 stitches wide and down that column 10 stitches wide, the way I used to do when I started diagonal stitching. Like when I first started, I would come out 10 stitches and my column would be like that, and I'd fill all of that in whatever method. Some people cross country within the diagonal, some people go row by row, some people go stitch by stitch, or however it works for you. But some people were still getting diagonal lines. In fact, I got some diagonal lines on my Stitchers Retreat. So I was watching Gemma Stitches, and she's stitching on the diagonal, but she's similar to this. She's stitching so that she doesn't block in any unstitched stitches. Okay, so she wouldn't, let me finish this stitch and oh, okay. Okay, I'm just going to bring this up over here. She wouldn't stitch, say, this stitch here until this stitch is stitched. Okay, or she wouldn't stitch out here until these stitches were stitched. Yes, this is, Gail, this is exactly. I'm stitching this in a method, in the basket weave method that people use in needlepoint, that doesn't pull your, doesn't distort your canvas. So what I'm doing is doing the same principle as basket weave, only I'm doing full cross stitches. So that's, I think, the fact that I'm just going out from this diagonal one stitch at a time and completing it is what is keeping it from getting lines. What I did here is ended off in a straight line to experiment with, if I do that, since I'm not getting diagonal lines, am I going to get a horizontal line here. So that's why I ended abruptly here to see, do we get now because we've changed this process, does that alter this? Christine, you're anal about your stitches looking good. And a lot of people are. A lot of people are. And I like them to look good. If they don't look absolutely 100% perfect 100% of the time, I'm not upset with that because I'm not stitching to enter competitions. If I was stitching for a competition, I would do the whole piece for sure this way because I think the stitches do look wonderful. But in all honesty, I entered competitions. I proved to myself that I could do it. I got a first place and 2 second places at Woodlawn, which is in Alexandria, Virginia. It's an estate that, let me think, if I get this right, I might not have it wrong. I might have it wrong. It's an estate that George Washington's niece lived there, and she was an avid needleworker. And I want to say, I'm not sure if it's Nellie's Needlers is the name of the Embroiderers Guild group that puts on the show. And they do it every year. And it, on the East Coast, for those of us, probably most everybody that lives on the East Coast, and probably not all, but any gung-ho junkie needlework person like myself has heard of Woodlawn, and it is a very prestigious show. So to win something there is really an honorable thing because it's not a juried show, but it is judged by judges from the Embroiderers Guild of America. So you have some pretty talented judges looking at your work, and it is not judged on what you stitched. So you could stitch the most elaborate design out there. I could enter my Stitcher's Retreat. Absolutely, I could enter my Stitcher's Retreat. And it's beautiful. I love it. I am so glad I finished it. But they're not going to judge it on the beauty of the picture. What they judge it on is your technique, how you stitched it. Did you do thread carries? Are your stitches all even? Is your tension even? Can you see carried thread through the front? If you did a sampler, for example, and you carried the thread between the letters and that shows on the front, they're going to ding you for that. If you have tails and they aren't trimmed close and you can see them through the front, they're going to ding you for that. I had one piece, and it wasn't one that I entered, but I have a piece that's hanging in my living room right now that I didn't see I didn't notice it until after it was framed and up on my wall, where I did an away thread to start my thread. And I stitched and stitched and ended my thread and whatever and went merrily happy along and finished the piece and took it to the framers and got it back. And what do I see? But this little piece of red thread sticking out at the top from my away stitch that I never pulled to the back. So if that would be something that I would enter, they would ding me for that. If if your piece isn't clean, if there's pet hair in it, they ding you. So they want perfection in your technique and how it's framed and how it looks and all of that stuff. So as I said, I've taken a first place there, I've taken 2 second places there, and I have proved to myself that I can do that, and I don't need to prove that to myself or anybody else right now. I'm I'm in it. I stitch because I love to stitch. It's my hobby. It's what I love to do, and it's how I'm spending my retirement. That's, it's what I love, and that's why I do it. And I love coming on here and sharing it with all of you. So, that being said, if there's things you want to know how to do, please let me know so that we can do some videos or we can do some lives where I can show you different techniques or different ways to stitch or different stitches. You know, let me know what you want. And I am more than happy to go there and help, and show you how to do these things. Um, like I said, I'm self-taught basically. Yes, I took some courses with the National Needlework Association and I had a mentor and I did some correspondence work for 2 years. Um, but basically, I taught myself how to do these things. So I'm not a professional. I don't ever profess to be an expert, but I will share with you what I know. Absolutely. Beverly, yes, I do get a backache too. That's why I'm kind of sitting here just chatting and not stitching at the moment because I'm trying to give my back a little bit of a break because when I sit up like this and stitch, I can only do that for so long and then I got to sit back and give it a little bit of a rest. Martina, you're trying to finish your first HAED. Super size max color. Oh my God. In 100 months. It's your own goal. At the same time, you want to try different types or ways to find out what works best. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to wait to start a new project to try something different. Try it on whatever you're working on. If you look back through a lot of my videos where I was working on Stitcher's Retreat, and we did the stitch alongs and some of the lives and what have you, that piece is full of different methods of stitching. Full of them. There's cross country, there's diagonal stitching, there's stitching in columns, there's different directions of diagonal stitching. I think, and I can't remember off the top of my head which video it is, but there is a video where I showed the back and pointed out all the different areas of where I stitch differently. And you can see it. You can tell when you look at the back, but you can't tell from the front. It all, the front looks just like this, like the front looks. But the back is where you can tell all the different things that you've tried. Uh, oh, hi, Angel. I missed your post up there. Good morning. Good morning. You must be down under. You nearly tried them all in this piece, Martina. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, it doesn't hurt the front. It really doesn't. It just, and really, does it matter what the back, how many different ways you stitched? It really doesn't matter on the back. And I didn't do it, but I talked about it. And sometimes I wish I would have had it framed so that the back was open, so that you could see that, so that you could see all the different methods. Because really, if you think about that, that tells the story of your stitching journey. Think about that. It tells the story of your stitching journey. It tells, okay, I stitched this way. Okay, maybe I didn't like that, so I changed it to this way. Um, but there's a story to be told in that. And the other thing is, when I've talked to stitchers over time, um, I can remember one in particular where um, her stitching, and I'm not about judging. I really am not about judging how people stitch or whether it's good or bad or whatever. But she had stitches where maybe the tension was different, or stitches where the first part of the X went over two threads, but the second part of the X only went over one. So there were things that left a little bit to be desired. And she was happy with it, and that's okay. But she had asked me about it, and one of her comments was, pardon me, well, should I start over? And I said, no, you don't start over. What you do is learn things to help you make it better. Okay, you're having trouble seeing. So you're having trouble seeing, getting that second part of the X over the two threads because you're missing, you're only going over one instead of over two. So what makes that better? What makes that better is maybe you need some magnification, whether it be cheater glasses or whether it be a magnifier. But there's things out there to help you. So what you do is you learn different things or different techniques, or you use different things to help you do it better. And then over time, you can see the progress. You can see that 5 years ago, this is how I stitched. This is what my stitching looked like. But look where I've come. Look how it looks today. So there's a story there. There's a journey there. Yes, Rose, you're right. The back is also a kind of art. It truly is. It truly is. And I agree. I agree, Martina. I think going line by line, yes, I think your stitching does is neater when you go line by line, because yeah. Yeah, do people really care after it's hanging on the wall? Probably not. But the thing is, how do you feel about it? How do you care? You know, it's all what makes you happy. What makes you happy? What are you willing to, what are you willing to accept or not accept in what you're doing? That's what it boils down to. You know, I think when you're going line by line, what happens is you're probably the majority of the time coming up in a hole that only has 0 or 1 thread in it. And you're going down in the holes that have more than that in it. When you're, so that's going to make your stitching neater. It's just like what I'm doing here in this sort of kind of basket weave technique with full crosses. I'm 95% of the time coming up in an empty hole or a hole with only 1 thread. And I'm going down in the holes that have more than that, that have 2 or 3 threads. When you come up in the holes that have 2 or 3 threads in them, there's a tendency to pull that previous stitch loose. And then that makes your stitches not quite as neat. So you get those little bumps in your stitching because it's pulled loose. Now, what I have found is if you use the ballpoint needles, and I used the ballpoint needles when there's a piece that I am kind of working cross country on. When I use a ballpoint needle, it does not pull my stitches loose. My stitches stay much even. Okay. Yeah, so again, it's all about you and what you want to do and what you like. 10 by 10 bulks up a little bit more, yes. It shows lines. Do you know, Martina, I often wondered about that. I really have not done 10 by 10 blocks. That's the one thing I have not stitched, or the one method I have not used when stitching. And mainly because my fear was, are you actually going to see those little blocks? So I have not tried it. Um, it's faster, I agree. It's faster. And will the lines wash out? I don't know that you can be 100% guaranteed that that would be the case, because I had some diagonal lines in Stitcher's Retreat and they did not wash out. Now, fortunately for me, thank heaven, my framer was able to pull the majority of it out. You can still see them a little bit, very, very, very faintly, and only because I know they're there and I know where to look. Anybody else is probably not going to notice them. I do, because I know exactly where they are and where to look. So you can't, hopefully they will wash out, but you can't be 100% guaranteed. Yeah. Maria, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Yes, going line by line, you get, yeah, you get that nice little pearl type bump and your stitches look really nice. Yes, it's slower. It is slower. And it is a decision to make. Do you want to, and that's where I said, where is your priority? What is your priority? You have one 10 by 10 block and this is like a bubble. tried it vertical and tried it diagonal. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and everybody's different. Yes, someone else could do the exact same thing and not get any lines, and they can be fine and not a problem. The next person will get lines all over the place. It has a lot to do with tension, an absolute lot to do with tension. Um, and again, everybody's tension is different. Oh, hi, Candy. How are you? Welcome. I'm glad you found us. Yeah. So, we're just back to the same old thing of what are you happy with? What's your priority? Does it really matter how long it takes you? Are you a process person? Are you I want it finished and up on my wall as soon as I can get it finished and up on my wall? I spent 5 years on Stitcher's Retreat. uh So I oh, well, Christy, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think it is an interesting topic. It really is. And I still go back to we're all individuals. We all have different expectations of our stitching. We all are different in our process of stitching, and it's really about what brings you the most joy. Like I said, I've won my share of ribbons. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to prove to anybody or even myself anymore that I can stitch and have it judged and take a ribbon home. You know, I've done that. So I stitch the way that I enjoy stitching. Part of my stitching is I enjoy trying new things. And hey, if I can come up with a new way, yay me. You know, if it works, it works. Fran, hello. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining. Is it Maria? Oh, or Maria? I never quite sure how to say your name. I think it's Maria. But anyway, if you feather the edges past the block, how many stitches are too many? I don't think there are, that it can be too many. You can feather it by going out one past, you can go five past, you can go even more than that. The whole idea of feathering is to break up that solid line so that you don't have a straight edge. So that's the whole idea of feathering. How far you go out, really, I would base that on what my pattern is. Myra. Okay. Thank you. I would base it on what my pattern is. If Ymir, hello, Miss Amin, M&M. How are you? Glad to see you. As long as you enjoy the process, that's all that matters, right? Absolutely perfect. That is all that matters. But Myra, when I look at if I'm going to feather, say I'm working, I don't know, 341, and past the edge of my block, there's 10 more stitches and then it hits another color. I might just go all the way, do those whole 10 and come back. But the whole thing is to break up that solid so that you don't have a solid line. However you want to break that up is fine. My own personal opinion is there are people that do a consistent sawtooth edge. Okay, so they might go out one, then out two, then out three, then two, then one, and they sawtooth it down the side. In my experience, that just gives you a sawtooth line. Not everybody. That's just been my experience. So I would say it doesn't matter how many stitches you go away. What matters is to just mix it up, have it be inconsistent. You know, maybe go out three and then the next line don't, have it even. And then maybe two lines down, stay one in from the edge. And then go out four, and just so that there's nothing consistent in that straight edge. Just make it as inconsistent as you can, and that's the way you avoid a line. So good. I'm glad that makes sense for you, Myra. I'm glad. And again, that's just my opinion and what I would do if I was stitching that way. And I mean, even when I'm stitching cross country and you end up with a block, well, if it's a block of one color, I usually just stitch that block of one color because normally the boundaries of that one color are not consistently a straight line. So, anything that you can do with whatever you're stitching that avoids having a blunt edge is what you want to do. Or that's what I do. However, I do have a blunt edge here. However, I'm only going one stitch out. I'm basket weaving essentially. So far, and like I said, this is strictly an experiment, but so far I'm not seeing lines. My latest wonder is I wonder if you started the first line of the diagonal with 20 stitches, then row 2 did 18, then row 3 do 16, etc. On this project, Fran, I started this the way I normally start a diagonal. I started 10 and went down to 1. And then I went over the next 10 and down. I did a 10 stitch wide going down, and I did blunt edge them. Fortunately for me, I don't see any lines there. And then I started doing the out one stitch and completing it the whole way down. Basket weave, Candy, just like you would do in needlepoint, only instead of doing that actual half stitch, tent stitch, basket weave tent stitch, I'm going down the diagonal, one stitch out down the whole diagonal with full cross stitches. Okay, so let me get you in a little closer. It's fuzzing up a little bit. So see, here is going to be my next stitch. Let me see if I can clear that up a little bit. hold on. This focus on this zoom. Ah, there we go. Is a little touchy. So get you straight. Aha, there we go. Here we go. So my next stitch is going to be okay. It's going to be right here. Then the next one is going to be right here. And then here and here and here. And I'm going to work down this one row, one stitch out from the last completed stitch the whole way down. So if you're doing a basket weave stitch in needlepoint, that's exactly what you're doing. You're working out one stitch from the previous stitch the whole length of this diagonal, and that in needlepoint keeps your stitches, keeps your canvas from warping, getting that age-old corner to corner thing, and you have to stretch it back the other way to straighten the whole thing out. Only what I'm doing is full crosses. So it's the same principle as doing needlepoint, basket weave and needlepoint. It's just I'm doing a full cross stitch down the whole diagonal. And then I will come back up. I will go out one more stitch and work my way all the way back up. And then work my way back down. So I'm, for lack of a better, and stealing the term from other people, I'm snaking up and down this diagonal line. So does that make sense, Candy? Does that answer your question? Yeah. And Fran, I started doing this. I was partway down my 10 across when I started doing this. So you can switch your techniques anywhere. You don't have to finish a diagonal to do it. You can start your technique anywhere you want. Um, like I said, it doesn't matter. Wherever whatever floats your little boat. Yes, that's Needle Ninja that calls it the snake. Yes, the snake method. Yeah, she does. And she varies the way she stitches also. I mean, sometimes some of her projects she's doing that. Um, some of her, I think she's doing 10 by 10 blocks on some. Uh, yeah, I can't remember all of them at the moment what she does, but that's the other thing. I think that was supposed to be a snake, not a duck. Oh, jeez. You guys are a hoot. Oh, no, I just lost what I was going to say. Oh, I think also your project, the project that you're stitching, dictates how it wants to be stitched. If you look at your project and you start stitching it, I think it will at some point tell you how it wants to be stitched. And some projects are more suited to cross country. Um, if you have a project that has a lot of blocks of color, sure, that may be more suited to stitching it cross country or even extreme cross country. Um, some projects, okay, take like the Amy Stewart ones that are, oh, oh gosh, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but oh my, the confetti would, oh, mm, those are probably, and I've not stitched one, so I'm just thinking out loud here. Those are probably projects that are going to be better stitched with parking and some kind of a parking method, whether it be Needle Ninja's way of parking and going line by line, whether it be stitching in blocks. Yeah, I think a project's going to tell you the easiest way to stitch. Have I ever tried Teresa's diagonal blocks? No, I have not. Carol, you're right too. Boss Daughter calls it the snake method. I think that's where I actually heard it first. Candy, you got the Animal Kingdom. Oh, that is a gorgeous piece too. Um, confetti, confetti, confetti. And I think I love those pieces. I love to look at them. I love to watch people stitch them, but I don't know that I would want to do that myself. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And then you have to look at, some people are doing super size and max color. So what does that do to the confetti? Max color, does that mean more confetti? Super size, does that even it out? I don't know. I've not done those. So I don't know, but those are things that go through my head. Well, that's good, Jody. I don't care. Yeah, lines on the back, who cares? It's the lines on the front we worry about. Candy, yours is supersize or max color or both? Oh my. Yeah, those kind of. First of all, I wouldn't even consider doing supersize. Not even. That's not even in my wanna do's. It took me 5 years to do Stitcher's Retreat. I'm 70 years old. I can't do. I can't. I I have too much to stitch to want to spend supersize 10 years on a project. First, I have to live that long. So it's like, there's too much out there that I'd like to stitch. And I also have too many started, and sometimes I sit here and go, "Oh, will I ever get them all? Will I get them all done?" I don't know. We never know. We never know. I have already outlived both my parents. My parents never saw 70. My father never even saw 65. So I consider every day to be a blessing, and I'm very fortunate in that respect. Um, but one never knows. And, do I want to spend 5 years again on a project? Although, look who started English Garden, and guess how long that's probably going to take me. I am now only a 0.5% finished. I have completed a whopping 1,500 stitches. in what, 3 days, 4 days? Okay, but I confess I spent a lot of time trying to get my laptop straightened out, which it looks like I did, folks. So I think we are back to cooking with gas because we are now still fully charged, and I think we have now been on 2 hours and almost 15 minutes, and I am still fully charged, which is an absolute positive miracle. And oh, you can probably see this. I want to see what my, wow, and I still got plenty of resources. So, what did I just do here, ladies and gentlemen? There we go. So, we are still good. Oh, Martina, you only got 5.5 hours left to sleep. Well, you go have a good night's sleep, a good 5.5 hours of sleep, and hopefully we will catch you the next time. Sleep well. Your grandpa says, Rose, your grandpa says you need targets to getting very old. Yeah, you do. You do. I have Stitcher's Retreat and Sisters working on Soulmate. You're 56 for about 2 more weeks. Sneaks up on you. Absolutely sneaks up on you. I don't know where it went. And you know what? In years, I'm 70, but in my heart, I'm still 35. My head does not think it's as old as my body does. Jody, what did I do to fix my laptop? Well, I watched a bunch of videos on the laptop version that I have, which is a 2019 MacBook Pro. So I watched a bunch of those. I watched a bunch of videos on um, things to do to increase the battery life and cut down on the CPU usage. And I also I use Ecamm, which is my streaming software. A lot of people use OBS. I use Ecamm because I'm on a Mac and this software is made specially for a Mac. And I watched a bunch of their videos. So what I did was ended up turning off any processes that were running in the background, first of all, and make sure I don't have anything else open besides what I actually need to do my stream. And then I downloaded a cleaner that was recommended um, for cleaning up a Mac. And I got rid of a bunch of files that were just hanging out on here that were not needed, were taking up space, were junk files. So I cleaned all of that up. And once I did that, it seems like we are good to go. Jen, you're missing my live. It's bedtime over on your side of the pond. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I should have. And now that I think of it, 2 hours and 15 minutes later, I should have put a note in the chat that I was going live. I'm sorry. I'll remember to do that next time. So have a good night's sleep. I'll let you know next time. Should have gotten the notification though. And Candy, your dinner is ready? Do you know what? I should soon go myself because I haven't had dinner. But that's okay. I'm not quite hungry yet, but I'm kind of getting a little bit. So good night, Jen. Sleep well, and hopefully you'll catch us next time. Yeah, Jody, I'm so glad. I had visions of having to spend thousands of dollars on a new MacBook Pro because if I would have had to get a new one, I would have gotten the one with the M1 chip. Um, but it looks like now I don't have to do that. It looks like, yeah, I'm fully charged. I'm still at 100%. So I'm good. I'm good. Made my day. Cut into my stitching time. Um, but that's okay. That's all right. I still did. How many stitches did I do today? Oh wow, more than I thought. 340. Oh, now I'm moving my thing around here. 340. So that's not too bad considering all the other stuff I did today. So, I don't know. So do we have anything else to chat about? Yay, happy dance. You better believe it. I didn't want to have to dole out. Now, had I had to buy a new one, I would have traded this one. So, I would have traded this one in to get uh, whatever it was worth. And it's always not worth as much as if you would sell it outright to somebody else. But I mean, that's okay. Um, so that would have brought the price down a little bit, but now I don't have to do that because I think I'm good. And I'd rather have this one last as long as I can have it last before dishing out a couple $1,000s for a new one. So I think I can get, as long as I only use this for my live streaming and my videos, I should be okay because that was the recommendation that I was hearing on almost everything that I watched was to I'm not stitching here, so let me switch my screen. Um, there we go. So that was the recommendation I was hearing is if to only use this for my streaming and my live videos, not to oh god, I'm dropping everything on the floor. Not to use it for anything else. Like don't put Facebook on it, don't um, surf the internet on it, don't use Messenger on it, or any of those other things. Just basically keep it for um, streaming and recording your videos. Don't do anything else. So hopefully that will be the case, and I can get, knock on wood, a couple more years out of it and see where we go from there. Um, and have all of you keep me company while I'm stitching. So like I said, if there is something that you want to know, something you want to learn, a stitch that you want to try, let me know, and um, we'll do a live on it, or we'll do a chat, or I'll do a video on it. Uh, like I said, I'm self-taught, but that doesn't mean that I can't teach you how to do something. And now that I've got everything all back together here, that's what I do with your tablet. Okay, Jody, I lost you there. Trade it in? Yeah, even if I would want a new iPad, I'd trade it for a new one. I mean, it helps reduce the cost. At least you get a little something for it and don't have to lay quite as much out. Okay, guys. So, I think it's time for me, since it's now what time is it? Almost 7 o'clock. Oh, only a pattern keeper on it. Yes. Yes. I have a Samsung that I have pattern keeper on, and that's all I have on that tablet is pattern keeper. That's the only thing that I use it for. Um, yeah, I don't do anything else on that. And I have my iPad that's what and my phone, that's what I do, look at Facebook with, or Instagram, or surf the net, or whatever, either on my iPad or my phone. I don't I don't do that on my Samsung either. So yeah, dedicated, dedicated. Yes, Rose. Well, you have a good sleep, and thank you for stopping by. Yes, it was a fun evening. It was a nice way to spend my evening when my husband's still out of town. And like I said, he'll be back. He'll be back tomorrow, but that doesn't mean I can't stream in the evening. But usually I like to spend the evening with him. Um, but now that I think I have things under control, I think we will see more of this. So come prepared. Come prepared with your questions or what you'd like to see, and we will go from there. So I think I'm going to call it a night and go get myself something to eat. And I have enjoyed being with each and every one of you, and I thank you all so, so, so very much for joining me, and you make live streaming a pleasure. I love you all, so I am going to bid you all good night and have a wonderful sleep or rest of your evening or whatever you're planning to do. Um, so I will see you next time. Bye bye.